Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, December 31st. It is New Year's Eve. We do have a little bit of a weird schedule today for the NBA games. There's some games on during the day. I think there's a couple of games early on in the afternoon. We have a game starting at 6:30 that's actually on the Draftkings main slate. It is not on the Yahoo main slate. And then we have 4 games going from 7 to 9. So 5-game slate on DK today, 4-gamer over on Yahoo. Even though it's New Year's Eve, DraftKings, still running out big contests for the slate. Even though, people might not be at their computers on New Year's Eve, might not be playing, we still got big contests. So we're going to break down the slate like we always do, point guard through center, talk about all the playable options at each position, the guys that stand out to me the most, looking at the slate the night before on Wednesday night. We'll take a look at some guys I like on DraftKings, hit on some guys I like on Yahoo as well. Before we do get started with the video, please hit that like button down below. As always, guys, appreciate all the likes, appreciate all your support. We did hit 21,000 subscribers yesterday. Really big accomplishment. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support that you've shown me on this YouTube channel, for all of you that have come to the channel, subscribed, that always like the videos. I do really, really appreciate it, guys. So thank you so much for that. If you are new here, if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And if you do really enjoy my videos, if they help you out a lot, you want to get more content from me, you want to see more that I have to offer, I do have a Patreon, which is linked down below in the description. I do provide a lot of additional content over on Patreon. You can get access to my full updated core plays that I post about an hour before lock, and I'm constantly updating them after lock in case any crazy injury news breaks. You can get access to my position-by-position breakdown, my player pool, my rankings as well. All that is posted on Patreon for each main slate, Monday through Friday. My core plays are posted every single day, so if you are interested in that, check it out, link down below in the description. But let's go ahead and take a look at this slate for Thursday night, starting off at point guard. We got James Harden as the most expensive option here. He is $11K on DraftKings. He's a shooting guard on Yahoo, but he's also the most expensive option over there at $54. On Yahoo, Harden is clear in a way the top stud. He's $54. The next most expensive guy is Devin Booker at $40. But on DraftKings, we do have this Philly-Orlando game on the main slate, so you have Joel Embiid coming in $1,000 less than Harden as the second most expensive stud. I think Harden is clearly the top stud on the slate. If I'm paying up for anyone above 9K, above 8K, I guess, he would probably be my favorite guy to go to. But John Wall is going to play for the Rockets. DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Gordon, all those guys are expected to play for Houston today, which definitely, I think that's going to hurt Harden. He's not going to be nearly as high usage of a player as he's been over these last few games. I've been locking in Harden basically these last 2 games he has played just because the usage was going to be through the roof. He didn't have the best game last time out against Denver, but I would say he had a floor game and he still put up 55 DraftKings points. I don't expect his floor to be that high here. Harden's floor and his ceiling is definitely going to be lower when he's playing alongside John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Gordon. He's just not going to have to do as much offensively. I still expect Harden to produce really good numbers. I just don't know if he's going to be a guy that we can just lock in for 70 DraftKings points right now. At 11K, I don't think we have to pay up for Harden. You can always play him, but I think there are other ways I'd rather go on this slate. I do like some of the mid-range options. Ben Simmons at 9,200, probably not going to go there. Just feels a little bit too expensive for me. Not a great spot either against Orlando. I do like SGA against the Pelicans. Really good spot for this Thunder team against this Pelicans team that I expect once again will be a very fast-paced team. They were towards the top of the league in pace last year, and I don't really expect much to change this year. We know this Thunder offense is running through SGA. He's going to play big minutes as long as the game stays close. He has a ton of upside. Right now, I think I would prefer De'Aaron Fox for a little bit cheaper, who we're about to talk about, but I don't mind SGA as a pay-up option at point guard. I do like him quite a bit. But De'Aaron Fox, I think, is probably my favorite pay-up option at point guard, $7,800 on DK. And looking at Yahoo's pricing, you got De'Aaron Fox actually coming in $2 less than SGA over there, so he's also cheaper than SGA on Yahoo. Really like this spot for De'Aaron Fox against the Rockets. We know this Rockets team, they played really fast last year. I don't expect really anything to change this year. Add in John Wall, they're probably going to play even faster. They were, I think, second in the league in pace last year. They should be top 5 once again this season, or at least top 10. So it is a really good spot for Fox. I don't really expect the Rockets defense to be too good either overall, especially not their backcourt defense with Harden and Wall. Those guys really aren't elite defenders by any means. And we know what we're getting from De'Aaron Fox. He's going to play 34 to 36 minutes as long as the game stays close. He has easy 45, 50-point upside coming off his best game of the year. Last time out against Denver, 47 DK points in 35 minutes. This is a guy that can drop, 20 and 10, 20 or 25 and 10, like 25 points, 10 assists, basically any night. He can get you some defensive stats as well. He's a good steals guy. He can always chip in with some steals. At 7,800, I like him quite a bit. He's definitely one of my favorite pay-up options at the point guard position. Right now, I do prefer him slightly over SGA, like I said. Definitely prefer him over, Lowry and Mitchell. I really like this spot for De'Aaron Fox. So he's my favorite option above 7K. John Wall, I have some interest in at 7,100. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays in his first regular season game with the Rockets. He did get some playing time in the preseason. I believe the games that he played during the preseason, Harden did not play. I don't think Harden played at all in the preseason, or he played one game, I believe, in the preseason. It's going to be interesting to see how Wall plays. Is he going to be, a guy that can consistently put up 40 to 50 DK points a night like he was with the Wizards a couple of years ago? I don't know if we're going to see that from John Wall this year, but 7,100, I like taking a shot on him. I think he's probably going to see his price rise as the season goes on. I don't think he's going to be someone priced in the 7K range for most of the year. I think he's going to be priced, high 7s, low 8s. He's probably going to see his price, be around the 8K range for most of the season. This should be a guy that can consistently put up 35, 40 DK points a night. At 7,100, he does feel underpriced. I'm not really expecting any minutes restriction unless we get word that he's going to be limited. I'm assuming Wall's going to play full minutes, so I do like him in that 7K range at 7,100. But then scrolling down, Elfrid Payton is someone I do like in the 5K range. So Elfrid Payton coming off a game where he wasn't great. 33 DK points was solid, but he did play big minutes, which is what I like to see. 36 minutes. The Knicks backcourt has been dealing with a ton of injuries recently. I'll pull it up real quick, but I know they have a ton of guys out in their backcourt right now. Alec Burks missed their last game. He is currently questionable. Austin Rivers hasn't played yet this season, but he is questionable as well. Ntilikina is still out. Dennis Smith Jr. is still out. Emmanuel Quickley is also questionable. So right now, we need to keep an eye on the status of Alec Burks, Rivers, and Quickley. If all three of those guys, I won't say if all three of them, but at least if especially if Burks is out, I think that does solidify Elfrid Payton for big minutes. He played 36 last game. I would assume he gets close to that as once again. He's still their starting point guard. He should still be locked into pretty solid minutes as long as maybe Quickley doesn't return. I think if Quickley plays and if Burks plays, that'll probably lower my interest in Payton. But for right now, I'm assuming probably one of those two guys remain out. At 5,900, I do like Elfrid Payton quite a bit in the 5K range. This is a guy that, when he gets minutes, he can be productive. He can kind of give you a little bit of everything, can score, can grab some rebounds, can get some assists. He can get some defensive stats as well. I like him a lot in the 5K range. 5,900 on DK. Looking at Yahoo's pricing, you got Elfrid Payton, just $19 over there. So I think, he looks really good on Yahoo as well at that $19 salary. But scrolling down below 5K, if we're looking for value at point guard, I do want to talk about Tyrese Halliburton. So he's, one of the top picks for the Kings this year. He's one of their rookies. I think they got him 12th overall in the draft. And he's been really good off the bench. He's been playing solid minutes, 25 and 27 minutes the last two games. Been relatively productive as well with 26 and 32 Draftkings points. I'm always kind of scared to roster these rookies just because I feel like their minutes could drop at any time. They're still rookies. I feel like, their production could drop at any time as well. Like we saw LaMelo Ball get off to such a slow start this year, and then he finally had a big game on Wednesday night against the Mavs. Halliburton's been playing really well. I expect him to continue to get the minutes. I like the matchup against Houston. This should be a pretty fast-paced game. I think at 4,900, he is someone that we can definitely look to as a value option below 5K. Right now, though, I feel a little bit better about George Hill. George Hill is someone I do like quite a bit. 4,700 on DK. He's played 2 games this year with the Thunder. He sat out their last game, I believe, just kind of for rest. Or I'm not sure if he was injured or if it was like a rest day. But so far in the 2 games that he's played, he started both games and he's played 24 and 25 minutes. He's an older guy, so he's not going to get massive minutes. But even in limited minutes, even in mid-20s minutes, he's been really productive. 34 and 28 Draftkings points. Now a matchup against the Pelicans, a team that, like I said, I expect to play very fast this year once again. Really good spot for George Hill. If he's going to continue to start and play, 25, 26 minutes, this is a guy that can give you a fantasy point per minute. I do expect him to be productive in this Thunder offense just because they don't really have any other scoring options. It's not like there's really any high-usage players on this team besides SGA, so I like George Hill quite a bit at 4,700. Has point guard and shooting guard eligibility on DK, which makes him a very appealing option. I do like him a lot below 5K, but That's probably all that stands out to me below 5K. Really, the two cheap options I like are Hill and Halliburton at this position. So let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now, and we'll talk about shooting guard. So at the top, besides James Harden, not really much stands out. Devin Booker at 8,600, probably won't be going to him on the slate. I prefer De'Aaron Fox over guys like Mitchell and Van Vliet. I don't mind RJ Barrett. I like him more on Yahoo. He's a lot more affordable over there. If you look at the shooting guard position, he's only $23. He's actually cheaper than Buddy Hield on Yahoo. So I think if I'm going to play Barrett today, it would probably be on Yahoo at 6,900 on DK. That's kind of an expensive price tag for RJ Barrett. You're still going to need close to 40 DraftKings points from him, if not more than that, to pay off that price. Whereas on Yahoo, if he gets you 32, 34 points at $23, that's a pretty good return. So I would be more looking at him over there. Like in the mid-range, not much stands out in the 5K range. Like Eric Bledsoe at 5,600 I think is fine to go to, but we've seen Bledsoe's floor is so low. This is a guy that can put up 12, 15 points any night. He still has somewhat of a ceiling, can still give you 30, 35, but I just feel better. I'd rather play like Hill for cheaper or Halliburton for cheaper. Lou Dort, I don't mind at 5,100. Like, we know what Lou Dort's role is going to be. As long as the game stays close, he should be locked into probably 30 to 32 minutes in the starting lineup. His production might be a little inconsistent, but he's definitely going to be needed more offensively this year just with the lack of scoring options that the Thunder have. And we've seen that so far through 3 games. He's taken 12, 11, and 14 shots through 3 games, so they're using him in the offense. He's a guy that can defend. He can get defensive stats. He can grab a few rebounds as well. I don't mind him at 5,100. Again, think I'd probably rather play like Hill and Halliburton for cheaper. But I don't mind Lou Dort at 5,100 if you want to go there. Below 5K, there's really not much that stands out in terms of cheap options. There really isn't a ton of great cheap value as of Wednesday night when I'm recording this video. Maybe some injury news will come out throughout the day, kind of like it did on Wednesday's slate. On Wednesday, like we had Aldridge get ruled out. We had Tristan Thompson get ruled out, which opened up some value. Right now, I'm not seeing any value, but that could all change as the day goes on Wednesday. So, just kind of stay tuned throughout the day. Let's go ahead and move on to small forward, though. So at small forward, I do like an option at the top here. I like Brandon Ingram quite a bit on the slate. 8K on DraftKings, which I don't think is really that expensive of a price tag for him. And then on Yahoo, I like him a lot over there as well at $35. Really, you just look at the small forward position. There's no guys that stand out head and shoulders above the rest. Like, OG has been playing really well this year. He's been balling, but, do I ever feel like I have to play OG Anunoby? Not really. Lou Dort, I think, probably looks like the best option behind Brandon Ingram. He's only $17, but, there's nobody that really stands out as small forward on Yahoo. So I'm most likely going to be trying to pay up at this position, and I do like Brandon Ingram a lot at $35. We've seen so far this year, even playing alongside, Lonzo, playing alongside Zion, it really hasn't mattered for Brandon Ingram. The guy's still a usage monster, still has a very high ceiling. The floor's kind of been low, but the 2 games where or at least the Phoenix game, that was a blowout. The Miami game kind of blew out late. He still played his normal minutes. That was kind of a tougher matchup, but we've seen this is a guy that can put up 45, 50 DK points, if not more than that, basically any night. The offense is still going to run through Zion and Ingram. Those are going to be the 2 highest usage players in this offense. At 8K, I do like Brandon Ingram quite a bit, and especially just because of how thin the small forward position is. Like, there's not a ton of options that really stand out. Ingram is a guy that I'll for sure trying to be trying to pay up for at small forward. But looking in the mid-range, not much stands out in the mid-range. I think Darius Bazley's fine at 5,700. Again, on Yahoo, he's still a little bit too cheap there. They did raise his price up a little bit to $18, but I don't mind Bazley on Yahoo. He's a power forward over there. He's fine at 5,700 on DK, but again, not a guy that really stands out. We talked about Lou Dort. You could go to him. 5K and below, if we're looking for cheap plays at small forward, there's really no value that stands out here. There's nobody below 5K that just catches my eye looking at the slate on Wednesday night. Dwayne Bacon's coming off a pretty solid game where he played 23 minutes. He's still starting for the Magic. His minutes are going to be so inconsistent on a nightly basis. But if you get one of those games where Dwayne Bacon kind of gets hot from the field like he did last game, he could see 24, 25 minutes. He could give you 20, 25 DK points. He's close to minimum salary on DraftKings, so I guess he's not completely out of play. But again, I don't think I'm really going to be punting small forward just because I don't feel very confident in any of the value plays down here. Joe Ingles is really cheap, but he really hasn't been doing much at all this season on the offensive end. He had a good game in their first game out, but hasn't really done much since then. He's 4,300, so I guess Joe Ingles could be a fine, cheaper option, but that's really it for me at small forward in terms of guys that stand out at the position. So let's go ahead and move on to power forward. So at the top here, we got Julius Randle. Pretty expensive on DraftKings, $8,800, but it's hard to argue against the price. I mean, Julius Randle has been so good, especially the last 2 games. I mean, he's playing monster minutes right now. With Tom Thibodeau as the coach for the Knicks, like, if you played DFS a couple years ago, if you just paid attention to basketball a couple years ago, like when Jimmy Butler was on the Bulls and Tibbs was the coach, when Tibbs was the coach of the Wolves, when Karl Anthony Towns and those guys played there, like Thibodeau just runs his starters into the ground. He would play Jimmy Butler 36, 38 minutes a night. He's playing his Knicks starters big minutes this year. Like Julius Randle seems locked in to 35, 36 minutes, if not more. I mean, he played 44 freaking minutes against the Cavs, and that was not an overtime game, I don't think. Like, he played 44 minutes in regulation. Like, if they're going to continue to give Randle 36, 38 minutes a night, I'll pay $8,800 for him on DraftKings. I know the price tag's high. The matchup isn't great against the Raptors, but this is a guy that's just so productive on a point-per-minute basis. Legit has triple-double upside. Like, he can contribute in all categories, can give you points, rebounds, and assists. He's just a really productive player when he's on the floor. I don't mind paying nearly $9K for him, especially because, I'm not really trying to pay up for Harden on the slate. Embiid, I don't think is really a guy I feel like I have to have at $10K. I like some of these $8K, $7K guys, and Julius Randle at $8,800 I do like quite a bit. Now on Yahoo, I think that's where Julius Randle looks the best. He's still, in my opinion, too cheap over there. He's coming in at $34, $3 less than both Christian Wood and Zion. Like, give me Julius Randle all day on Yahoo at $34, and even on DraftKings where he's $8,800. Like I said, I don't mind paying that price tag for him. Just with how many minutes he's getting, with how productive of a player he is. If they're going to play him 38 minutes a night, you're going to see a lot of 45, 50-point games from Julius Randle this season. So I like him at power forward. I do like Zion as well. Zion's coming off a terrible game last time out against Phoenix, but kind of a lot of that had to do to blowout, or was due to blowout, I should say. If this game stays close, which it should, we should expect big minutes from Zion as well. He's playing big minutes in competitive games this year, 36, 38 minutes at $7,900. Zion does look pretty good as another power forward option you could go to if you're paying up here. Like Tobias Harris, Al Horford, these aren't really guys that stand out to me. Aaron Gordon is cheap, but he's still like on a minutes limit. They've been limiting him to like low to mid 20s minutes, even at $6K. Even though that's kind of a cheap price for Aaron Gordon, I don't really want to play him if he's going to be limited in minutes. Like we talked about, Baisley you could go to. I don't mind Marvin Bagley at $5,300. This is a guy that still can easily put up 30 plus DK points a night. I know he hasn't done it yet, but in 26, 28 minutes, you could easily get 30 plus DK points from Marvin Bagley. I do have interest in him, $5,300. I think I would prefer him like over Harrison Barnes. Would definitely prefer him like over Chris Boucher and Jay Crowder. But like below 5K, once again, I mean, there's no value that stands out below 5K at power forward. Like PJ Tucker, with John Wall, Cousins, Eric Gordon coming back. I mean, PJ Tucker is already an incredibly low usage player, and now his usage will basically be zero with those guys on the floor. You're just going to have to get lucky and hope some rebounds fall his way or he gets some defensive stats. We know he's going to play big minutes, but I don't want to play PJ Tucker. So, yeah, I think that's probably it for power forward. No punt plays that stand out here. So let's go ahead and move on to the center position. We'll talk about center real quick before we do end the video. So at the top of the center position, you do have Joel Embiid, 10K, who, like I said earlier, I don't think I'm going to be paying up for a ton on this slate. Like, I just don't think he's a guy I feel like I have to go to. It's not the best spot against the Magic. The Magic are a good defensive team. They play at a relatively slow pace. Like, I just don't feel like I have to go to Embiid at 10K. Right now, DraftKings has the Q tag by his name, but he's actually probable. He's expected to play. Even if he plays, I probably won't be going to Embiid a ton. Vooch, I don't mind, but honestly, I'd rather play Julius Randle for 100 more. I'd rather drop down to Zion, who we talked about. I like Zion as well. In this like 7K range, you do have like Rudy Gobert at 7,500. I think is a little bit underpriced for this matchup against the Suns. I don't know if this is 100% true, but I feel like every time Rudy Gobert faces the Suns, he just goes off. He just has big games against them. Kind of makes sense because like DeAndre Ayton overall is not the best defender. This is definitely a winnable matchup for Rudy Gobert. At 7,500, he gives you a very high floor on this price. Like you're probably going to get at least 38, 40 DK points from Gobert. He can randomly put up those ceiling games where he goes for 50 plus, gets you 20 and 20 with a couple of blocks. I don't mind him at 7,500 as a pay-up option at center. He's someone you could look to. Christian Wood, I have some interest in. Now with DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall coming back, I don't think Christian Wood's going to be as productive on a point per minute basis. I still think he's going to play relatively big minutes, but I don't know if he's going to be a guy that, puts up 50 DK points a night like he would have, had those guys been out like rest of the season. I think his production on a point per minute basis will come down a little bit with Wall and Cousins now active and playing, but still, Christian Wood, if they're going to give him 36, 38 minutes a night, like this is a guy that has 40-point upside basically any night. Matchup against the Kings is relatively favorable as well. I don't mind him either. Between him, Gobert, Zion, it's close between all three of those guys. I think I'd probably lean Zion over those three, or between those three, but all three will definitely be in my player pool for sure on this short slate. In that 7K range, those are the guys that look the best overall. And just kind of like that upper mid-range, those are the three guys that do stand out to me the most. But then scrolling down, not much stands out besides the guys we kind of already talked about. I do want to talk about DeMarcus Cousins, though. So DeMarcus Cousins is 5K on DraftKings, which I don't know if this is too low of a price for Cousins, if it's too high of a price. We don't really know what we're going to get from DeMarcus Cousins. If this was DeMarcus Cousins from 3 or 4 years ago, he would be the top play on the slate. You would lock him into every lineup because DeMarcus Cousins, 3 or 4 years ago when he was with the Pelicans, when he was with the Kings, this was a guy that was, 9K, 10K basically every slate. He would put up 40, 50 DraftKings points basically every night. Obviously, things are not the same for Cousins anymore, especially coming back from injury, but he did get some time in the preseason, and he was really productive in the preseason. I know he had a game where he played only 14 or 15 minutes, and he had, I think, 25 or 30 fantasy points in only 14 or 15 minutes. I still expect him to be productive when he's on the floor. He's a big center. He's going to be under the basket, grabbing rebounds. He can block shots. He can score. He's just – I still think Cousins is going to be a guy that is usable in fantasy. Honestly, I feel like his price is going to rise as the season goes on, so I think we want to get on him now while he's only 5K on DK. It's tough to gauge what his minutes are going to look like. He hasn't played in so long. He did get some run in the preseason, though, so my best guess is we probably get 20, 22 minutes from Cousins off the bench. We could get more, though. I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up starting. I don't think they're going to start him alongside Christian Wood, but it would not be surprising if they did. Even if he comes off the bench, I think the upside on Cousins is through the roof. Even if he only plays, low 20s minutes, he still has easy 30-plus point upside. He's too cheap in my opinion. I like DeMarcus Cousins a lot on DraftKings at 5K, and on Yahoo, he's actually minimum salary over on Yahoo. He's $10. I'm going to be playing a ton of DeMarcus Cousins. Maybe people won't go there because, they'll be worried about his minutes, but I feel like this is a guy that doesn't need more than 20 minutes to pay off that salary. I mean, he's going to average a fantasy point per minute when he's on the floor. It's just a matter of how many minutes he will get. If you told me Cousins was going to play 26 minutes today, I would probably play him in every lineup on both sides because I think he's just too cheap. But I guess that's the one risky part. We don't exactly know how many minutes he's going to play. He could play 15, he could play 18, he could play 25, he could play 28. We just don't really know. So hopefully we get a little bit of word on this. Maybe we'll get some update on kind of what his minutes are going to look like. I'm going to be playing him, though. I'm going to be taking the risk on him. I don't think he's going to be low owned. I think people are going to play him for sure. This will just be something I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the day myself. I'll maybe look at some ownership projections, see what some sites are saying, what other people are saying about DeMarcus Cousins. I feel like he might be chalky, but then again, he might not because people might be worried about how many minutes he plays. I'm fine going there, though, even if he only plays 20 minutes. I think he has the upside to pay off this price in only 20 minutes. So really like Boogie Cousins at center, but other than that, that kind of wraps it up for center. I don't think there's any cheap options below 5K that really stand out. So Mike Muscala and Isaiah Roby we were considering last slate once Al Horford got ruled out, but obviously Al Horford's going to play today, so I have no interest in those guys. So yeah, that does it for center, guys. I think that does it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I do greatly appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And if you do enjoy my videos, if they help you out a lot, if you want to get more content from me, you want to see more that I have to offer, be sure to check out my Patreon. Link down below in the description. You can see all that I do have to offer over on Patreon. Get access to my positional breakdown, my core plays, my rankings, my player pool. All that is posted on Patreon. So check that out. Link down below in the description. Hope you guys win a lot of money tonight. Have a Happy New Year. If you're going out and partying on New Year's Eve, on Thursday night, be sure to stay safe. Don't drink and drive. Be smart with your decisions. So yeah, best of luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.